Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. In case y'all are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that you can check my content in a few different places. All of my groups and links are going to be posted in the description below in case you guys want to check them out. In today's tutorial, we're going to be going over everything you see listed here. I love how these tumblers turned out. I actually ended up keeping one of them because I loved it so much. This tooled floral leather vinyl is one of my first pattern vinyls that I am now offering on thedrunkflamingo.com. We're also going to be using some fun foils as well as printable vinyl. So we are going to go over several things in this tutorial and I hope you guys enjoy. So for now, we're going to get started. If you guys have questions or need clarification on anything, just ask below. All right, y'all, so we're going to start with a painted tumbler. I typically use Rust-Oleum flat white. I already removed the bottom. I totally forgot to film it, but I just use a metal putty knife. I hit it with a hammer, jam it in there, and then I lift the bottom cap off super easily. If you guys do not know, all of the tumblers over at the Steel Magnolias you can do this with. At least I think all of them you can. There may be one or two that don't have that option, but if you guys want to try out their tumblers, I do have a coupon code below. I love her tumblers. Her lids are also great. So we're going to start with some printable vinyl and some regular vinyl. I just cut these into random strips. I used different sizes. I think some of them are about 2 inches. Some of them are about 1/4 of an inch. Some may be smaller. This is really just your personal preference. Obviously, if you want thicker strips, you can make them thicker. If you want all thin strips, you can make them all thin. You can make them the same size, different size. This is totally up to you. I am just lining them up as straight as I can. And putting them down the cup. And I am just alternating between the Cowhide printable vinyl and the floral tulle leather vinyl that I offer on my site. And I am just going to apply these strips about halfway around my tumbler. So one half is going to be these vinyl strips, while the other half is going to be foil. And I am leaving a little bit of overhang. That way I can pull it over and around the bottom curve of the cup so that it covers the bottom curve as well and we don't just have a white bottom. So that's about halfway. I think I do one more small one. And now I'm going to take my heat gun. I'm going to heat up the vinyl just a little bit. You don't want it super hot. You just want it a little bit more flexible. And we're going to pull that vinyl over. And I like to pull it over and just leave it there. I do it different ways. Sometimes I like to force it down in the crack. You'll just have to find what works best for you. So we're going to leave it there for now. Then I'm going to apply some painter's tape to the actual vinyl so that when I apply my deco gel, it does not get on my vinyl. And when we apply foils, I have used Tack It as well as this Deco Foil Gel. And, you know, it just depends on what you like. Sometimes I like Tack It better. Sometimes I like the Deco Foil. I used to not like the Deco Foil at all, but I have found that if I do one decent coat and then let that dry and then do another second coat and let that dry, I get really good coverage. So I'm just applying this with a paintbrush. I do suggest having a cup of water handy if you don't want to wash this out immediately, because once this dries, it is really hard to get out of your paintbrush. So once this dries, I have let this sit for about 45 minutes. I also use my heat gun to dry thicker spots if I think they need a little bit more dry time. And I'm just going to apply this foil over. I'm just wrapping it. This foil is super fun. It's from Southern Belle Glitters. It's like a cowhide teal, kind of like, I think there's some wood thrown in there. I'm not even sure, but it was really fun. I like it a lot. This tumbler was the one that I actually ended up keeping. And I like to use the felt end of my little vinyl scraper. I don't know the proper name for it. And just smooth everything down. If there are creases, I really just try to smooth the creases out with this little scraper. And then make sure that you get your bottoms as well. And once I think I've kind of scraped it pretty good, I will just lift up the edge of part of the foil and just see how it's releasing. And if it's releasing nicely, then I'll go ahead and start to peel it all off. And the good things about foils is if there's a little piece that kind of peels up, you can just lay that back down and scrape it a little bit more. So I'm just going to do this as we go. But you guys can see that pretty much every little inch kind of came off. So I had a really good release on this foil. And then you can always go and kind of press some foils back onto some spots that may need it a little bit more. This was a distressed tumbler anyway, so I wasn't too picky if there was any white showing through. And now we're going to peel off our tape. And once we're done with that, we will be ready to apply our pinstripes. Typically, my pinstripes are black and gold. Sometimes I use rose gold. Sometimes I use textured gold. But I will always print off a full sheet of pinstripes just so I have them handy. The sizes I use are 0.07, 0.05, and 0.03. That way I have a few different options and I can layer some colors if I want to do that. So for my largest size or for the underneath color, I will typically start with the 0.07. And we're just going to apply this vinyl right in between our leather and our cowhide. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. This is pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to apply our stripes. But again, I do have some overhang of this vinyl so that I can kind of curve it around that bottom edge. And once we have all the gold between all of the vinyl, I'm going to go back with my black, and we're going to use a thinner option, so either the 0.05 or the 0.03. And we're going to apply that on top of the gold vinyl. This can be kind of tedious trying to get it really even. Sometimes the gold has a weird reflection and you can't really see where you're placing the black vinyl. But just go slow. You can always peel up little sections as you go in case you messed up a little bit. But I found it best when I'm working with the black on the gold, I will just kind of lay down about a 2-inch section and then smooth that out. That seemed to work the best for me. And then once we get all the black on, I'm going to go back and add some thinner gold lines on top of some of this other vinyl, just to kind of, you know, have a little pop of gold on top of some of the vinyl. I just really like the pinstripe look. So the thinner ones I'm using are either the 0.05 or the 0.03. And I'm just laying this next to the other vinyl lines that I have. And I just laid mine on top of the leather, the brown leather, because I think the gold really kind of popped against that and just gave it a nice look. And then I added some on top of the foil. And then I just folded the vinyl down on top of the curve. And now we're going to apply our vinyl quote. I don't think that I epoxied before this. I could be wrong, but I don't think that I did. So you can basically do this entire tumbler all in one step, except for the bottom. And for some reason, when I cut out my words, a lot of my letters were not straight. A lot of them were spaced differently. So I couldn't just pick up all of the black and apply it to the gold. Everything was kind of off. I'm not sure why. but about 4 of my quotes were like that, and it was super frustrating. So I'm just picking up word for word and just laying them on top of my offset. And then once I get all the black applied, I am going to pick up the entire quote and apply it to the foil side of my tumbler. And this metallic gold is so hard to get off of the backing for some reason. But I love it. It's one of my favorite colors. I use it all the time. I get it from my local vinyl supplier, which is JSI Designs, which I believe is now Perfect Press HTV. If you guys live in the Georgia area, they are located in Norcross. I definitely suggest checking them out. They have great prices and great color choices. So I am just going to line this up and smooth it down. And once everything is smoothed down, we are going to lift up our transfer tape. And now I'm going to trim off the vinyl that's on the very bottom of our cup. I just used my blade. Make sure it's very sharp. This one was not very sharp, or as sharp as I wanted it to be. But we're just going to cut along the edge and we're just going to peel everything up. And once we do that, I'm just going to smooth this down. Next, I'm going to take Artistry's Quick Seal and I'm going to seal everything in, because nothing bugs me more than pinstripes that lift under epoxy. Then once the Quick Seal is dry, I'm going to go in with 2 coats of Artistry's Fast Setting Epoxy. If you guys have not checked that out, I have a discount code in the description. And once everything is cured, we are going to then do the very bottom of our tumblers. So I had a whole group of these to do, so I figured I would just film how I do all of them. I am just mixing up some of Artistry's 1-to-1 Fast Set, and we're just mixing up some colors. This is Colorado Campfire. It was in my July's flock box. And I'm just going to use my popsicle stick, and we're going to apply this glitter in the outer ring of the tumbler base. And I just fill this glitter to the first line. I don't want this glitter to overflow into the center cavity. I just want it in the cavity that's closest to the edge of the cup. So I'm just going to do all of these tumblers the same inner color. And then we will fill the center. And I will say that even if I try to pop my bubbles, a lot of times you just won't get a super slick feel, just because bubbles are going to be rising and popping as it cures. So after these 2 cavities have cured, I will go back with a very thin layer of clear epoxy so that I get that glass-like finish even on the bottom of the tumbler. And you don't need a lot of epoxy. For all of these cups, I think I used 10 milliliters. For this outer cavity, it really does not take much at all. You just have to be really steady with your hand so you don't drip it everywhere. Like this one, I dripped right there. I did clean it off with alcohol later because I don't want it curing on there. So I am just kind of going back now that these have had a little while to sit and kind of even out, just making sure that these little rings are even, and I add like a drop or two if I need to, just to fill them all the way up. And then we're going to mix in our other colors. That was sticky situation because I did have epoxy on my hands from wiping off that tumbler. If you guys have not tried Sticky Situation, it is an awesome hand scrub from CCDIY and it smells amazing. But it cleans epoxy off of your hands like nothing I've ever tried before. And it smells great, so that is a win-win. So this color that I'm using right now is Cowgirl Cooler. It is a newer color that I released. And now we're going to do Lemon Drop Mermaid Cocktail, which is one of my most popular blues. Also, while I spill it all over my kitchen counter. So we're just mixing some up and pouring it in the center cavity. I think for each tumbler center cavity, I think I used about 10 mils, maybe a little bit more. So I'm just going to set these out in my garage. I'm going to pop my bubbles and then I'm going to apply a very thin coat of clear on top of that. And here are some finished pictures. If you guys want to see how I did the distressed image, I do have another tutorial on my channel that you guys can check out. But thank you guys so much for watching and I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, and tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or my mentorship group. Thanks for watching.